Welcome to another St. By Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the St. By Night YouTube channel where we play St. Petersburg By Night, a massive multiplayer tabletop role-playing game set in the world of darkness. We play Vampire the Masquerade, Hunter the Reckoning, and Werewolf the Apocalypse. My name is Nikki, also known as Crafty Mirage, and you can find me on all social media at Crafty Mirage, and I am one of the storytellers here at St. By Night. Make sure to check out St. By Night on all major social media platforms. We're on Twitter, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, and we're on Twitch. But you should check us out on our website, SPbN, where we have our city map, storyteller profiles, and our one-of-a-kind threat meter. If you aren't already a subscriber here on YouTube, you should go ahead and hit that follow button and catch up on our past episodes. And if you're interested in playing with us, come and join our Discord server and be a part of our amazing community. Today we are playing Mementos, one of the chronicles here on St. By Night. Let's introduce our players, starting with Wex.
Hi, I'm Wex, of Dark Path on TikTok, and I play Emeric Vale of Clan Tremere.
Hello, I'm Lilith. I play La Sombra named Leaf, and yes.
Tonight we find ourselves in the coterie haven of the Labradors, a retrieval coterie that was tasked with the requisition of several items that were stolen from the former Prince Isabel de Navarra. Ever since Emeric Vale entered St. Petersburg, he has had the desire to find out what has happened to his sire. For 15 years now, his sire has been missing after disappearing in the attack on Vienna by First Light back in 2008, I believe. Emeric was one of the last Tremere embraced in Vienna, and one of the last people to see his sire alive. Here in the Coterie Haven, Emeric has finally learned the blood sorcery ritual that would allow him to communicate with his sire and find out once and for all whether or not she lived, or whether she had met her final death the night of the Vienna attack. He invited his coterie mate and companion, Leaf, to keep him company as he performed the ritual necessary to achieve this feat. They find themselves in the library tonight. The bookshelves filled with books that that between Emeric and Leaf are starting to get full up with things that are more of their interest and less of Florida tourist interests at least. Emeric would have had to gather the materials needed for the ritual, which would be an object that was previously possessed by his sire, and a silver bowl filled with crystal clear water. The bowl sits on the desk already prepared. And Leaf and Emeric, you two have the scene before you decide you are ready to begin casting this ritual, Emeric.
Well, this probably won't amount to much from your perspective. But I appreciate you being here. It's important to me.
Of course. I know I won't be seeing much, but this is probably going to be very, very intense for you. Are you sure you're ready?
I need these answers. I've looked too long. There's no better time. One way or another, I'm finding out tonight.
All right. Well, I'll be here for you on the other side, whatever that looks like.
And Emeric would take a step closer to Leaf and just put a hand on her shoulder and be like, "Thank you." And then he would walk over to the silver bowl and...
Now, what is the object that you are going to be using to try to communicate with your sire?
It is a silver necklace. It has vines intertwined on the front of it, on the pendant. And those vines, if you know what you're looking for, do form the Tremere clan symbol. It's subtle, but it is obvious to those who know. On the back, there's an engraving. It just says Miriam, bloodstains, memory endures. And there's a date, June 16th, 1723. And it was something that his sire had slipped into his pocket before they were separated.
You stand over the bowl, and the process of performing this ritual is that you have to submerge the object in the water, and then let your own blood drip into the bowl while concentrating upon the last memory of your sire for up to 30 minutes. So, you gently lower the pendant into the bowl, letting it fully submerge and sink into the water. Before, I imagine you have a knife on you?
Yes, it would be a ceremonial knife. Not super elaborate, but it would be, like a antler horn handle and a rather short blade of about 3.5 to 4 inches, but very sharp. And Emeric would cut not the palm of his hand, but the back of his hand to let the blood drip into the bowl as he focused.
Go ahead and give me a rouse check to force the blood to the surface and see if you get any hungrier.
I passed that one.
Okay. You begin to think and concentrate on the memory, the last memory you remember of Miriam. The memory begins with the sound of a piercing alarm, shrieking through a library. And it's almost like you're reliving the moment again, as your heart hammers in your chest. well, what you think is a heart. It's just, you'd only been a kindred for a few weeks at this point. You hear your sire shouting about the wards having been broken and to follow her and not ask questions. Inside the library that you had been hiding in back in Vienna, the library doors burst open, and a squad of heavily armed soldiers charge in, guns blazing. Emeric, can you go ahead and give me a Dex and Athletics check?
Yeah, give me a second. 3 successes.
3 successes. It's almost like you're reliving the moment in your mind as you concentrate. It's just so vivid. You remember jumping behind a bookcase while in some other part of the chantry, an explosion shakes the building and causes some of the shelves to violently shift and the books and grimoires to fall off, some of them barely missing you. Around the corner, you hear your sire shouting that you have to flee. You go to move, and you are blocked by a large man in full body armor, raising a gun to you. Before he can do anything, though, you see your sire. This young woman, no more than 20 years old, with blonde hair in a braid, much smaller than this large hulking man, but you see her, without any hesitation, appear behind him and just touch a small spot on his neck. You see as the exposed bits of skin from behind the body armor begin to turn bright red and then black before the person in front of you violently bursts into just pieces of wet flesh and falling to the ground in a puddle. It's not anything you had ever seen before. You knew what you were, and you knew what the Tremere, your clan, were capable of. She had warned you, of course. But to actually see it with your own eyes, it left you shocked and frozen in place for a moment. The shock would be broken by your sire, urging you to move and forcing you to start navigating through the hallways. What was your thought process as you were running through those halls?
The first thought, as he passed over that first body that had just exploded and boiled out, was the unsettling of the smell. Reminded him of his favorite teriyaki restaurant, and that was not a pleasant thought for him. As he progressed, Emeric is in a state of panic. He is not entirely sure what's going on. This life is very new to him, and he trusts Miriam, but there are soldiers with guns, there's men exploding, there are walls coming down, there are bombs in the distance. This is not something he's prepared for. He restores and validates artwork. Like, this is not a thing that he has planned for. And he is confused, mainly confused.
You're not left to ask, you're not allotted much time to ask questions because Miriam is just rushing you through. And if you slow down, she basically either pulls or shoves you forward. She's not hesitating to make sure that you just get through all of these hallways until you finally reach her private quarters within the chantry. Inside of her quarters, you see that there is a circular alcove. It's about 2 meters across, and she physically pushes you into that alcove. She looks at you. You remember her face very clearly, as this was the last moment you saw her. Looking at you with fear, desperation, determination, and also regret. The door of her chambers would be forced open, and you would see a soldier charge in with a wooden stake in his hand that, without any hesitation, he shoves into Miriam's back. You had heard that staking was one of the things that would either kill for some unfortunate kindred or or incapacitate for most others. But when the stake went into Miriam's back and attempted to pierce her heart, it would shatter and splinter back at her attacker. You see a haze of red blood, and you see Miriam's pupils dilate into a dangerous, predatory black. And the veins in the whites of her eye become more prominent as she turns away, and you see your vision blur. But the last sound you hear is the sound of flesh ripping and dripping and splashing. Leaf, you haven't heard Emeric say anything for several moments. It's been about 15 minutes since he started performing the ritual, just occasionally a drop of blood dripping into the water beneath his fist. Go ahead and give me a wits and insight check on him as you study him.
All right, give me just a moment. That's only going to be 2 successes.
It's hard to tell exactly what he's feeling because there's just so many emotions etched into his face at this present time. But one thing you are certain about is that whatever he is thinking about right now, whatever he is concentrating on, is causing him some distress. You see that there is tension in his shoulders and his hand, in just the way he holds his body. Emeric is by nature a very rigid person, especially in professional settings. But he's even stiffer now as he is performing this ritual.
I am going to grimace for a moment and just continue watching very closely and very intently, waiting to see any signs that something catastrophic is about to happen.
Emeric, can you go ahead and roll your intelligence and blood sorcery for me?
Of course. Can I blood search this?
Of course.
I passed again. All right. That is 5 successes.
5 successes. You know that establishing communication at the halfway point of the ritual requires a little bit more time. But you've done the hardest part, which is concentrating on the memory. You wait for several moments, several tense, silent moments, until 15 more minutes have passed. It's quiet. You wonder if it works. But then you do feel something. You feel a source of intelligence. You feel as if a thin but tight wire has been attached to to the center of your forehead, and you feel that it has anchored onto another end. And you can sense that there is someone on the other side. And you know through study that you have about 10 minutes of silent communication between you and whoever's on the other side.
Mary, are you there? Can you hear me?
No.
Miriam.
No. This is another trick.
This isn't a trick. It's been 15 years.
No. Everyone's dead.
I'm not. I've been looking for you. You sent me to Paris. It's a lovely city. I met some interesting people there.
What is the date on the necklace?
The date on the necklace. Of course, it was June 16th, 1723.
You're alive?
I am. I've learned quite a bit, including this bit of blood sorcery.
You're a fool. You shouldn't have done this. You should have just let me die. You should have just let me gone on thinking that I am dead. This is worse.
Where are you? What has happened to you?
I slept for a while. I don't know where I am, but when I woke up, my hands, my feet, they're restrained. I can't see. They have me blinded. The only reason I can even eat is they have a tube stuck in my mouth. They have something on my forehead.
Something on your forehead.
They feel
Can you just...
They feel round. They're adhered to the skin. I hear buzzing.
Anything
around me.
What kind of buzzing? Is it mechanical buzzing? Is it
Electrical. Anytime I speak, it echoes back at me.
Did you make it out of the chantry?
No. My body sustained too much damage. I fell into torpor. think they got me. They ask me questions.
What kind of questions?
They ask for my name. They ask for other names. They ask for locations. And when I don't give it to them, they burn me.
How?
What was that?
How do they burn you? Do they use torches? Do they use other means?
They use light. Bright, very bright lights.
What language do they question you in?
At first, German. And then they gathered I speak English. So now they only speak to me in kind.
You know if they've moved you?
I have not
Since
moved since I've woken up.
Do you hear anything? Do you smell anything?
I smell
Other than the
moisture
buzzing.
in the air. Like water. I think they have humidifiers in here. The air feels wet.
Mary, I'm gonna find you. I don't know when. I don't know how. I've not spent the last 15 years to give up now.
Where are you? Wait, no. Don't
I
tell
wasn't
me.
going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. For all you know, I'm still in Paris, and you can tell them as much.
Under that fool Vion? Absolutely not.
I've moved several times. It's been difficult without you. Without accounting. I've had to stay mobile to keep ahead of any suspicions. I'm glad you're alive.
I should be
Sorry
dead.
for your...
It would be better if I was dead. I'm a risk to everything right now as I am.
I'm aware. That's hopefully enough for me to find a way to rally some to help you. To get you out of there. I'll have to look into where there might be, though.
You must do one thing if you do discover where I am.
And what is that?
Don't save me.
Why?
I've told them too much. I've told them some things to make them stop. I They and myself need to be destroyed. Every bit of data they've gathered here must be destroyed. For my breach of the Masquerade, I must be destroyed.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. In the meantime, is there anything I can do to get ahead of what you've told them?
Guard your
Warn
heart.
somebody? I will do my best. I don't know that particular technique yet. I'll get there. But if you've given them things, I can help mitigate that. I just need to know who's at risk right now. Who needs to run? Who needs to hide?
I gave them the location of some anarchs in Los Angeles. I gave them nothing else after that.
Well, the enemy of my enemy, right? That's what you taught me. Is there anything else that maybe might give me a hint to your location?
They do not let me see Emeric.
I understand.
I don't even speak to them directly. I speak to them over, I have to assume, is an intercom. They hear everything I say, even a whisper.
I will contact you again. Just listen for anything that they might give away, even unintentionally. Small things, anything I can use to piece together your location. Can you do that for me?
I will try.
Stay strong. You've been through a lot. I will try to save you if I can. But if it comes down to it.
If it comes down to it, you will raise this facility, whatever it is, to the ground.
If I have to, yes.
They cannot be allowed to live.
I agree. Not after what they have done. What they intend to do. Define them. You stay alive for me. You owe me accounting. You owe me mentorship. You owe me the knowledge you promised me. Stay alive. Don't tell them anything. Don't tell them anything useful. I will find you.
Post office box. In New York City.
They've mentioned that?
No, you wish for the knowledge I promised you. There is a post office box in New York City.
Okay.
The key is, unfortunately, in Paris.
Is it in the safe house or somewhere else?
It's in the safe house. The safety deposit box is under Emily Barnett.
Let's start. I'll go there. I'll find the key. Find the safe, or the box. I'll learn what I can. I'm coming for you.
You feel the connection sever as you speak those words. And you blink, and you are back in the library.
Emeric immediately reaches into his satchel, pulls out a notebook, and starts scribbling down the details in code. Like, he's not going to do anything crazy, but he's scribbling down the details that he needs to know. The P.O. box, the name Emily Barnett, the key.
Leaf, you see Emeric moving now.
I will just sit there silently and watch him scribble down notes as fast as he can, not wanting to interrupt whatever information he just received.
He's going to look at the notes and just slam his fist onto the notebook, pick it up, and throw it against the wall. Why isn't there answers? Why can't I find her?
Emeric?
Sort of snapping out of the daze. Oh, leave. Yes. I'm sorry. That was unusual and out of character for me. I apologize.
Whatever you just went through was a lot. It's okay to be a bit out of character in the moment. Are you okay? You said you couldn't find answers.
She's alive. I have that answer. She's... They have her, Leaf. They are keeping her in terrible, in a horrid state. They need to pay. I need to find them. I don't even know where to start. But I have to go to Paris.
Do you know who they are?
Specifically, no. Generally speaking. First Light, Second Inquisition, Hunters, the government. I don't know specifically. I don't know where her body was moved to. I don't know where it was taken. I don't know what they've done or who possesses her now. I know next to nothing.
But she's suffering horrifically.
And not just physically, she blames herself for the situation and the problems it's caused. And she wants me to kill her. I won't do it. Not unless I have to. At this point, you would see blood tears start to form and fall onto Emeric's cheeks.
Leaf will reach out and put her hand on his shoulder. Emeric.
Yes, Leaf.
You will find her. We will find her. I will help you. Nobody should be suffering like that. Nobody.
Too much. It's not going to be an easy path. It's not going to be without risk. And it certainly is not going to be without blood. You asked me to help you find your center. I worry that coming along could have you losing yourself more.
As I have asked for your help, I feel that I should give mine in return.
I will not turn it down. I don't have anyone else to turn to. Thank you, Leaf. And he would reach into his jacket pocket and take out a handkerchief and dry the tears away. I need to clean up before anyone sees me like this. I have a lot of work to do.
I will help you clean up what is here. And then we can get back to this after you've had a little bit of time to process what you just experienced.
Emeric would go over to the bowl, fish out the necklace, dry it off, and replace it around his neck. hide it under his shirt where it's never visible, but he's worn it for many years. Okay.
We move the scene to a room full of monitors. A man wearing a white button-down shirt and a blazer sits behind a computer with imagery of lines that seem to fluctuate up and down. Another monitor has the image of a CT scan brain. And the man in the desk turns to a woman behind him who is standing over him looking at the monitors. The specimen had some unusual brain activity for about 10 minutes, just shy of 20 minutes ago. She's been pretty tight-lipped since, but seems to have been crying afterwards. The woman behind the man studies the screens for a few moments. Keep an eye on her. If she has any spikes in brain activity again, alert me immediately. I want to know right away. The man nods. Says, "Of course, Seraphim." And that's where we're going to end this session.
Hello, I'm Lilith. I play a character named Leaf. She is a Lasombra fledgling. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm wearing all black tonight. I have a long sleeve button up shirt with a bit of a long triangular collar and black pants and some black athletic waterproof shoes.
I am Kent, Misha Kent on all social media. I am the lead storyteller of St. Pete by Night, but tonight I am playing Hush, the Lasombra Scourge.
Tonight we find ourselves in one of the more nature-esque parks of St. Petersburg, Florida. A few weeks ago, our Lasombra Leaf, during a bit of a messy hunt, had to clean up the mess fairly quickly and determined the best course of action, and that was to fill the body full of chicken pieces and toss it into a lake for the gators to deal with. Since that night, Leaf has periodically come down to the lake to check out the shores to see if anything has washed up. And tonight she finds herself walking along the shore of the lake, trying to see if she can see any hide or hair of the body that she disposed of a few weeks ago. Leaf, what's going on in your mind right now tonight?
Honestly, I am a little tense, but it seems to have been long enough with no signs of my loose ends that I am starting to relax about the situation a little bit. I am pretty comfortable considering it is the dead of night and you could barely see out, so the shadows obviously comfort me more so than most. So I'm not too much on edge, but I am always looking out for a certain someone. So yeah, I'm just aware, but I am relatively calm.
Now, you've had an interesting time since coming to St. Petersburg. You've kind of been coming more into your own as a kindred. You've been learning a bunch of new things about this way of life and also about the clan that you are part of and the very special type of power that they have access to known as Oblivion. And you recently learned the drawbacks of being connected to Oblivion when you lost a humanity when the last time you called to its power. How did that make you feel?
Well, to be honest, in the moment, I wanted nothing more than to cause permanent and catastrophic damage to the one that was going after a fellow coterie member, as it was my job to make sure that everybody is protected and safe, and that we got the job done. But I did lose sight of that in the moment and wanted to consume them entirely and bring them back to our rightful home. So I did not quite fully come back as myself from that moment. I left a part of me behind. And I have been struggling to maintain the what's the word? Feelings of everybody being equal towards myself and not a emotionless predator versus prey viewing of the world, such as we would see out in the wild. I'm still trying to view everybody as equal and having an equal deserving of being here, like I had when I was still human.
And you've been struggling, you have. It's been a never-ending battle between the beast and the human. You've had some time to just be able to relax since bringing in that handmaiden and getting the Bible back for the principle of faith, Marguerite. You haven't had the easiest time either learning about Oblivion, since access to other Lasombra in the city is very rare. The only other Lasombra that you know of is Marguerite, and she had confided in you that she doesn't even have access to that anymore. And the only other person that you know that you could speak to was Amethyst, but she even explained to you that the way her clan uses Oblivion, the Hakata, is a lot more different than the way that the Lasombra would use it. In a desperate plea, you did reach out to one other person that you could think of, which was Hush. And tonight, as you walk the shores, darkness surrounded around you. Give me a wits and awareness.
Do you mind if I have aspects?
Your heightened senses? Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead.
That is 6 successes, no crit.
Hush. Do you think she would notice the shadows moving differently with 6 successes?
At this point, yes, I think she would see Hush standing between a grove of trees, towering at about probably 8 feet tall in his current form.
The moment Leaf sees the appearance of Hush, she would stop dead in her tracks and just stare for a moment, as if waiting to see if he's here to talk or if this is her final moment.
Hush would cock his faceless head to the side as if studying and observing, and then after a few moments, speak.
Are you here to kill me?
He would cock his head to the other side but not respond.
I will hesitantly take that as a no. And she would walk forward a few steps closer to him to not be shouting. Even though there seems to be nobody around us, she doesn't want to cause any scenes.
Speak.
Well, I wasn't fully expecting to do this here, but I suppose now is a good time as ever. I asked for a meeting because there's nobody else here to talk to. And I just have questions about being who I am and how to navigate it and how to bring out hope for a better future for us and our clan. My clan, at least. I'm still not exactly sure of yours.
Why?
Leaf will stand there silently for a long moment, also looking contemplative, trying to find the right words, trying to put her experiences into words, especially with Oblivion and the vision that she received and ponders over. The La Sombra has, to put it mildly, a very complicated history. And we are continued to be punished for it. There are so many of us that come into this already complicated way of living at such a disadvantage. We're hated, we're looked down upon, we're ostracized, we're kept at a distance. Those who are ages away from what has happened are still seen as the same enemy as back from that day. And that's, as much as the world isn't fair already as it is, I want to provide a safety net for our clan and those like us.
He's gonna lean down, bringing his faceless visage close to hers, and then say again, "Why?"
Because it's not just what I want. I believe it's what Oblivion would want as well. Sure, we're immortal creatures here to roam this world for eons. In theory, we can still be killed. Before we return to the beginning and the end, the eternal womb. I would just like to have a good life. One that's not full of terror and hatred and evil, true evil, not just misunderstood powers, misunderstood spaces and entities. And you'll see the shadows around her flicker as she says this. I had a lot of hope to change the world as it was back when I was human. And I may have left parts of myself back with the Divine Mother, so to speak. I have not lost sight of what I truly believe in. I view Oblivion very much like the mother I never had. When I walk in the space of oblivion. It feels like a womb to me. It feels like the safest place I will ever be. It makes me want to stay there and not come back. But I am here. We are all here. And not everyone gets to experience that level of peace. So what I want is to give as many as I can that same level of peace until we can return as one together once more.
He'll just kind of continue to stare at her, though you can't tell where his eyes would be looking, as he appears to have none. Peace. No peace. And with that, he'll stand up to his full height again and turn to walk away. But as he gets a few steps away towards the shadow of one of the nearby trees, he'll kind of look back over his head and then hold out one of his long, kind of thin arms in her direction, and he'll say, "Come."
Leaf will start following silently.
Will she take his hand?
Yes.
So he'd like to walk her towards a shadow and then use shadow step to the back room of the Saint in one of the booths back there.
The Saint is a it's the speakeasy Saint, right? Kent?
Correct.
All right. The Saint is a speakeasy where usually you get in through by speaking at a confessional, which serves at the door, and inside it is a red light lit interior with all kinds of religious iconography ranging from Christianity to Satanism. The drink menu shows a selection of beverages named after the 7 deadly sins, female murderers, and other forms of religious what's the word?
Iconography?
No, not iconography, terminology. There we go, terminology. And are you there after hours?
No.
No? Okay. So the staff that would be there would be waitresses dressed up as sexy nuns. The bartenders wear priest collars. And the drink menu is at every table, and the bills are generally given with inside of a Bible. But you find yourselves at one of these round, high back booths with chains between each of the booths that kind of serve as a bit of a curtain, shielding you from the rest.
When they arrive to the other side, he will have already dropped his facade, and he would appear as a probably mid to late 30s man of very, very dark complexion. His kind of brownish black hair very neatly and shortly cut over the back of his head. And despite having a visage that seems youthful, there's a weariness that almost withers at his features ever so slightly, making him appear older than he should be, looking the way he is. He's wearing the same black suit with a red tie and is sitting at the booth now, a very normal, probably about 6 feet tall, sitting at the booth and looking over at Leaf.
And Kent, since you did use Shadow Step, I believe you do need to roll a rouse check for me to see if either one of you incur stains from that. It's from that voyage.
We do not.
All right, you guys are good.
Just gonna note here that Leaf is using Blush of Life. Just
Of course.
as the facade falls and Leaf sees Hush's human form for the first time, she will do her best to keep a blank face, but will blink twice at the sudden reveal, and then look around at where they now are with a hint of confusion.
When Hush speaks, it's not with the same kind of hauntingly raspy quality. In fact, it seems to be a strange blend of accents, possibly from Africa as well as the Middle East, but he speaks with perfect English as he says, "You may speak freely here. There is no one that can hear you, no one that can see you. I just found a more comfortable environment to be suiting for this conversation."
I see. Well, I guess we can continue our conversation then. What did you mean by no peace?
Who sent you?
My sire did.
And who sent your sire or your sire's sires?
Leaf will pause for a moment. I haven't met them personally, but
Was it Graciano or Bukafos?
I am not familiar with those names.
He kind of smiles a little bit, but it's like a crack in his features. Very well. You speak of oblivion as a comfort, as a home, as something that wants. Oblivion is nothingness. It is the great abyss. It is deprived of want or need. It is simply emptiness and nothingness. Giving yourself over fully to oblivion is becoming nothing, is wanting nothing, is ceasing to exist.
If that's truly what it is, then why do I feel from it?
Because it is making you cease to feel. And perhaps you find that comforting right now. You have felt this, yes? You have felt your grasp, your hold on what you are slipping.
Leaf will clasp her hands in front of her and twiddle her thumbs a bit together. Yes. I find myself struggling to hold on to many things that once made me who I am.
I do not even remember what it was to be human before this. I have spent centuries trying to recover what I once was, only for it to be like a forgotten dream, a lost memory. I had a name once, long ago. I couldn't even tell you what it is now. All I have known has been my sire, my father. In the time since, they have given me a new name, and it is all I have known of what I am. The longer you live in this unlife, the further removed and detached you are from what you once were. That comes naturally. Oblivion speeds up the process the more you use it, and the less able you are to control it.
How do you keep yourself so controlled? I only ever see you using it to cloak yourself, so to speak.
Part of existing as long as I have is you gain experience, practice, control, and more importantly, enemies. Those names I asked you earlier. You do not know them, but they are very old and very powerful. And they are my enemies and my brethren.
I see. So much like everything else in life, the control takes practice and self-discipline.
And necessity. Using for necessity or survival.
Leaf will nod her head, understanding what Hush is saying.
This world, and he kind of gestures out to the other patrons at the bar who are milling about and laughing and talking and enjoying their evening. This is the only comfort you have left before the end. This, though it has changed over my time, is what keeps me grounded and in control. For if I succumb, if I give up that control, I too, like our brethren say, like our family says, will be given over to the abyss, to the oblivion, to nothingness.
Sometimes I forget that there is still that genuine comfort in this world.
This is the struggle of the kindred. We seek to control that comfort while losing a grip on it ourselves. Oblivion, or as it was once referred to, obtenebration, is a very powerful tool to help us maintain that control. It is what helps us survive when others seek to take what we have, not knowing the cost of what we have. When used carefully and effectively, you can protect, you can harm, you can consume, but use it too much, too recklessly, and without purpose, and it consumes you.
I will admit that I do rely on it heavily. And now that parts have been taken away, parts I may never get back. what I thought was a comforting presence is actually just me trying to escape. And I have been foolish this whole time.
This is the temptation of oblivion. Nothingness means no pain, no suffering, no fear. It also means no joy, no hope, no happiness. Nothing. But if there is one thing I have learned, you can never say never. The only true never for you is that you will never be human again. But that part of you that you fear you have lost can be found. Oblivion can be managed so that it can be used effectively without taking everything that is you away.
How would you suggest I start to use it?
Use it when you must. Study its empty depths. But in return, find balance. When you use this gift, balance it out in service, in pursuing and strengthening your anchor to what you were, lest you lose it all and forget.
Leaf's eyes will brighten ever so slightly as she thinks about something that is definitely an anchor for her. I still meant what I said in the nature preserve. Though, with my realizations, it has changed a bit. Is there I don't know how to ask this. And Leaf will just kind of look down at the table and contemplate for a moment as she genuinely struggles to put into words what she's thinking. The kind of 2x4 to the face about oblivion has put her into not necessarily an existential crisis, but has forced her to see just how much she's been looking at it all wrong. And she is feeling very foolish and young right now.
I can teach you. I can teach you control. I can teach you balance. But if anyone finds out who I am and what you learn, they will come for you. Our enemies want the nothingness that you should fear. They want power without balance.
That would be truly horrific. Even just my small moment of losing a part of myself was people who know nothing about this shouldn't have it at all. I wouldn't tell anybody, and nobody would ever find out.
Are you sure you can promise that?
Leaf will immediately think of her fellow coterie member, Emeric, and her face would pale a little bit just knowing what he can do alone. I can promise that I wouldn't willingly tell anyone of your teachings, but I do know that there are many out there that are much more powerful than I am. That, if given the right situation, could pull it straight out of my head without my consent.
How far would you go to keep this secret?
At this point in time, everything that Leaf has ever stood for, all of her touchstones, all of her convictions. She is going through each and every one of them for this moment and this moment alone, and is weighing what is more important, keeping what is probably the clan's biggest secrets and knowledge safe and doing whatever that costs, or slipping even for a moment and letting something in her personal life be more important than letting this information slip, even though the warning is clearly there that if any of the information that would be given to her in the future got out into the wrong hands, it would be deeply catastrophic. And so she is just feeling like the whole world is on her shoulders in this moment. And after a few moments of silence, her eyes narrow and she gets a very determined look on her face. I would do absolutely everything that I can to keep this knowledge safe and sacred. Anything.
Crafty, at this point, I would like to use the power of the Methuselahs to see if she is a descendant of mine.
She is
Basically,
not.
call upon the blood bond, no?
She is not.
He will reach out to one of the empty glasses on the table. And he will take a thumbnail and slice open his own palm and start to squeeze out and rouse the blood into the glass. And when there is a full drink's worth of blood, he will hold the glass out to her.
Leaf will gently take it out of his hands, and before she takes a sip, she looks him straight in the eye and asks, "Why me?"
Because when I asked you why, you thought of others before yourself.
I see. Well, thank you. Truly. For everything that you've done. And for whatever the future holds for us. And she will drink the entire cup.
So, Leaf, in the past, you've been subjected to a blood bond before from your sire. When you would be forced to drink his blood, his blood was delicious. It tasted better than human blood. It was potent. It was rich. This blood that you are drinking right now, in this moment, if your sire's blood was a burger, this is only the finest Wagyu steak you have ever had in your life. It is much more rich, much more bold, much more potent. And it is almost overwhelming your senses how intense this taste of blood is.
As she is drinking the cup, Leaf's eyes will immediately widen from the very first bit that touches her tongue, and her eyes will then close as she just full-heartedly and carnally enjoys this 5-star meal he has received.
Go ahead and add a 1-dot blood bond to Hush on your character sheet.
After she finishes drinking, 2 more times, I will come to you, and I will give you this gift. After the 3rd, your learning will begin. And to no other, under your solemn oath that you have sworn today, will you mention the name of Montano.
Yes, sir.
And I believe after the blood bond is complete, Crafty, she can take the Descendant of Montano lore sheet.
Indeed she can. And I think that that is an excellent place to end this vignette tonight. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.